to the Sporty Show. Looking a little different today, but as always, I am Sara Ferraria, joined by the one and only, the tallest man in Madrid, Alex Ashmore.
Hello, Sara. I'm not Clinton Cod, for those of you who weren't aware. It's Alex, it's me.
It'll be a quiet show. It'll be a calm show today.
There won't be any claims of how good I am at football, because I'm not that good at football, unlike Clinton, who says he is.
Only in Luton, though.
Yeah.
Yes, Clinton Cod is on a special adventure. You guys will be hearing about that, I'm assuming, later this week. He may or may not be joining us from wherever he is. We're keeping this all very vague. But here's what we have coming up this week on Sporty TV. A lot of football, as always. We have the DFB Pokal, Armenia versus Freiburg. And we also have later this evening, Bayern Munich versus Bayer Leverkusen. Alex and I are going to be joining in with you guys through the half times of these matches, post-game as well, because this one's a big one. Bayern, Leverkusen, I'm excited. On Wednesday, international friendlies for the women, Australia versus Chinese Taipei, as well as the DFB Pokal returns for Wolfsburg, Hoffenheim, and FC Cologne versus Hertha Berlin. We also have Leipzig taking on Frankfurt, and we'll be back again for those games tomorrow as well. Thursday, we have River Plate taking on San Lorenzo, and it's the FIFA Club World Cup draw. Could be exciting for all of you Real Madrid fans out there. We have the Croquis Cup, Anderlecht versus Westerlo. We have Al Ittihad versus Al Nasser on Friday. Brisbane Roar versus Melbourne, and Friday, it's the big one in the Serie A, Atalanta versus Milan in Bergamo. We also have more international friendlies on Saturday. Australia Taipei again. Was it the same one? I don't think that one's right, guys. But Crystal Palace are taking on Man City in the Premier League. Leeds and Derby County in the EFL Championship, and it's Borussia Dortmund versus Borussia Mönchengladbach. All right, guys, lots of football coming up. And like I said, Alex and I will be joining you guys for the DFB Pokal this evening. Bayern Munich, Bayer Leverkusen. Alex, this one's a big one.
It is. It's exciting. I think, recently it's become the big game. Obviously, Dortmund are still there. Their Klassiker is still very important. But given how well Bayer Leverkusen did last season and, how well Bayern are doing this season, well, feels actually like a compliment to them actually at this point because, they could be doing a lot better, and I feel like this will be a very tasty game. Xabi Alonso will know, he knows this Bayern side inside out. He will have studied them, and likewise will have Vincent Kompany. But I'm assuming I'm correct in saying this. Obviously, we're yet to see the lineups, but Harry Kane picking up an injury against Dortmund means he probably will miss out tonight. So a big miss for Bayern there, but a cracking game in the Cup. I think that might play a role here tonight, the fact that it's a cup game. Mm-hmm. There's so much football these days. There's League, Champions League, Cup, Club World Cup in the summer. We might see some rotations. Might not. I hope we don't.
I hope we don't either, but I think I agree with you. This game has kind of turned into the big match in the Bundesliga, for sure. We will dive into this match a little bit later in the show, but like I promised you guys yesterday, we needed to talk about La Liga. So let's dive in now, because Barcelona are playing in about 2 hours' time against 8th place in La Liga Mallorca in Mallorca after dropping points this weekend to Las Palmas on their 125th anniversary. Neymar was there, and it all went wrong for Blaugrana. Alex, this one was a bit shocking from Barcelona. Iñaki Peña has played 15 matches and has allowed 14 goals. Wojciech Szczesny is on the bench, smoking cigarettes, hanging out, just waiting for some playing time. Do you question why he hasn't been rotated in yet?
Yes and no. I trust Hansi Flick's judgment. He's one of the best managers in the game at the moment. We've seen the success he's had with both the German national team and Bayern Munich. I think there's obviously a reason they brought in Szczesny. He's an experienced goalkeeper, not long retired. A month later, he's in Barcelona's training ground, training, and hopefully, for him, he'd be wanting to play. But I think, given what Hansi Flick said yesterday in his press conference, that for the moment there's no plan to change the number one. I think at the beginning it was, good to see that he was showing faith in Iñaki Peña, because I think quite a lot of people doubted his abilities. You yourself probably were favouring Szczesny as the number one, and looking at how he's done, yes, 14 goals in 15 games, it's not brilliant, but I feel like he's not exactly committed, blunderous errors. It's not been, in the last 15 games, it's not like you can pick out error after error after error. I think he's been, he's been good, but he's not been brilliant, perhaps. So I think, Hansi Flick is sticking, keeping with his faith in Iñaki Peña, and until he sees a real reason, like a proper reason to drop Iñaki Peña, I think he's going to stick with him. Maybe for cup games, he might start rotating in Wojciech Szczesny.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's difficult. We saw this with Arsenal last season with the fight between Raya and Ramsdale and what can happen to a keeper, Ramsdale in this case, who, if you don't get picked, how that can affect your self-esteem and, your ability to perform on the pitch. And maybe that's why Hansi Flick is saying, all right, you know what, right now, it's not bad enough. We still have faith in you. You still have had some brilliant performances, and he had against Real Madrid. I mean, I think with Barcelona, considering that we also have players coming back, Frenkie just returned. Araujo is now in training, which is brilliant news. I think the idea is that you should be performing better, especially at home.
Yeah.
But then, as you mentioned, there is a lot of football, as always. There's Champions League, there's Copa del Rey. There are still some injuries. I mean, Alejandro Balde did go off in this one 25 minutes in or so. That was a nasty foul. And it didn't look good. I think that's one position where Barca really need to focus on, because then you have the likes of Gerard Martin who comes in, and I just don't think he has enough experience to be starting for Barcelona, in my opinion.
No, I think it's a young squad. Even Hansi Flick said it himself. I think they're the youngest in La Liga. So, to be playing like they are with the players, Marc Casado, Pau Cubarsí, Alejandro Balde, these are some players that, not too long ago were playing academy football and youth football. So, for them to be now first-team players at Barcelona, it is, exceptional. It shows how far they've come on. But I think when you look at, perhaps some of the negative sides of having such a young team, it is that experience, like you said about Gerard Martin, the fact that he's not been in these big game moments. And even when you're coming up against a side like Las Palmas, who have, threatening strikers, they have players there that can punish you. And I think when you look at the performance from Las Palmas at the weekend, it was good. It was solid. They did what they needed to do. They scored 2 very good goals. And I think they found a little bit of a weakness in that Barcelona defence. So, yeah, I think when you look at January, I can't see them bringing anyone in, but I think it's definitely something going forward that they're going to have to look at, bringing in, I think, a little bit more experience in the defensive positions, because anywhere on the pitch, if I want the experience, it's got to be in defence, because that's where the mistakes happen the most, and that's where they matter the most.
Absolutely. Guys, on our YouTube, we have a poll on who's going to win tonight at the San Moix. Is it going to be Mallorca or FC Barcelona? I have a lot to say about Barcelona regarding transfers, actually, because there is one player in particular that I think Barcelona might be having to send out. But before we do that, we have a very special guest joining the show today. It's not Clinton Cod again. It's actually the one and only. It's a birthday boy, Gary L. Smith, the 2023 Ghanaian Journalist of the Year, your favorite Gunners fan, and a birthday boy today. Happy birthday, Gary!
Thank you! Thank you!
How you feeling? Another year
Great.
around the sun.
Yeah. Really thankful. It's been an interesting year, and joining the Sporty family was definitely up there as one of my highlights. And working with you guys, it's all very new for almost all of us, right? But we are all hitting the ground running, and it's gonna be better and even better and even better. So looking forward to a brilliant time with Sporty group and that other Sporty baby that's coming.
Oh, I love to hear it. I love to hear it. Guillaume has written, happy birthday, Gary. Best journalist in Africa. Guys, go tweet at your favorite Ghanaian journalist, Gary, and write him a happy birthday.
We weren't sure what number
you.
to get on the card, Gary. I think we've gone for 63. Is that correct?
That's accurate. You got it. 63 it is.
Stop. Markanday's written happy birthday, Gary, Street Fighter as well. You've got a lot of fans. And can I guess what your birthday wish might be this year for certain Arsenal to beat Manchester United tomorrow? Just for bragging rights over Clinton.
Very important. Very
Yeah.
important.
All
And
right,
then to finish second.
All right. Well, wish hard, Gary. Wish hard. We'll talk a little bit about Man U and Arsenal later on in the show, but let's jump back to Barcelona now that Gary's here. Gary, before we introduced you, I said that there might be a player that I think might be leaving Barca for a few reasons, that they're not playing well, but also economically. We know Barca are still trying to bounce back from all the turmoil that they have been dealing with in terms of financial issues. Frenkie de Jong. I think Frenkie de Jong might have to leave. I think they can get a decent sum for him because he's obviously extremely well known, and he's still, what, like 24, 25?
He's still got time on his
He has time, but he, I think, is being replaced by these young guys.
He's 27.
He's 27, but still.
Still, I mean, for a football player, that's still very young.
I think this is like prime time. This should be prime time. Yeah. I'm worried because ever since Frenkie has picked up these injuries, he hasn't been fitting as well into the team, and the team has been obviously having to build around the fact that he's not there. You know, Pedri's back, Gavi's back. Then you have the likes of Casado, who is playing in that position now instead of Frenkie, and I think it could be an idea. Gary, am I crazy? Have I lost my mind?
No, you remember when Ronald Koeman warned Barcelona about De Jong? This was after his ankle problem started last season, then intensified in the first quarter of this year. Yeah, that was after playing in El Clasico against Real Madrid. You know, then he decided to stop completely. He missed out on the Euros, then sat out of Barcelona's preseason. So the problems have been compounding, and what you are saying is not far-fetched. Some might say, have patience for him, but the show has to go on, you know. And the situation, I think it was only about a week ago that I saw a story that Barcelona's board are frustrated with his situation because they feel like he's not bringing sufficient intensity into the team, and you know, it's just problem after problem after problem, and so unfortunately he's starting to look like a bad debt on the books, so they have to let him go while they can make money, and that is just the nature of football business. So I agree that he should be on his way out at this time, where there are clubs that will be able to afford him, will take a risk on him, and Barcelona will get something and buy someone equally good or as decent as he is.
Yeah, or like Alex said, you know, spend that money in the defense, especially on that left back side where, you know, Balde was the perfect replacement for Jordi Alba, but what happens when Balde gets injured, you know? Alex, what do you think, Frenkie de Jong?
I mean, you know, I think moving on from him, you know, there's obviously still a really good player in there, but, you know, like Gary said, in terms of the lack of playing time he's been getting, in terms of, you know, the injuries, there seem to be a consistent problem, and, you know, have been since he's been at the club. And, you know, reading a report that Barcelona would potentially go as low as 20 million, you know, around 16 million pounds to get rid of him.
That's a bit insulting.
That feels a bit low.
I mean, if Jack Grealish is 100, what are we talking about?
Yeah, to be honest, I think at this point, when you look at clubs that would go for someone like Frenkie de Jong, you know, I look at the Premier League, I look at a club who's lost their best midfielder, I look at a club who's lost their replacement for that best midfielder, a certain blue team in Manchester. You know, they need more players in that position. Emergency signing in January.
Could be.
Is that far-fetched? I know he was linked with Manchester United when Erik ten Hag was there. Perhaps now that Amorim's there, that link is no longer as strong. Am I being silly to suggest that Man City could go for Frenkie de Jong?
Man City could go for anyone. I think the idea, though, is that I like what you're saying, but I think because they've lost their top two, they need someone who is guaranteed.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with Frenkie, and maybe why they're suggesting that his value is so low, is because he's not guaranteed. He has been injury prone in the last, 17 months or so, and I think that's what's concerning. But I'm sorry, 20 million euros is insulting. I think if you play for any of the top clubs in the top 5, automatically you're like 45 these days. Like if you play for, City, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Barca, Real, Atleti, Napoli, Inter, Milan. You know what I'm trying to say? These players automatically should, they're like 45. We just live in this world where football players are going for amounts that we could have never believed, even 5-10 years ago.
It's obscene, the amount.
It's ridiculous.
You see some of the fees that Chelsea played for players in the summer, and you're thinking, how are you spending 20 million on a player that quite a lot of people who are Chelsea fans probably haven't heard of that player? So it's ridiculous, to be honest, the amount of money that's going around in football. But that is how it's going to be, and it's on an upward trend, and it will continue to go on an upward trend for a while yet.
Yeah. Before we jump to Real Madrid, I'm just going through our comments here. And Markinde, of course, we knew, has said Barca can't challenge for trophies with those kids. Let's be realistic. We are going into the congested December and January fixtures. Gary, what do you think about that? Is Barca's, average age right now too young to be competing?
I think Hansi Flick has been able to do a good job despite the age situation. I mean, the younger players are these days, the more games they can play, So it should be an advantage. It should be an advantage. What we are asking is whether experience will be a factor. And I think that in recent games, we have seen that. So they went out of the barn like horses on fire, and then Real Madrid are behaving like the thoroughbred horses. Yeah. So the kids are leaving. Let the kids go. Let like thoroughbred horses. Like
I think you need to work on your thoroughbred horse impression, Gary.
Thoroughbred horses.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, as in they shut out the door. When you have young horses, they can be a bit enthusiastic. But with a lot of training, they know how to pace themselves. It's just like a seasoned 100-meter runner or a seasoned athlete. Sometimes, they run the 400 meters, the 800 meters. Frenkie Ball, where are you? I mean, you know what Frenkie Ball does to you in the final straight. She just keeps watching you and watching you. And in the final 400 meters, she shows you who is boss. Or Sidney McLaughlin. You know what they do. So you see that with Barcelona this season, and you wonder how they've bungled it so badly in the last couple of games. Look, I've seen Barca fans give all sorts of excuses, but I think that sometimes it boils down to experience, and that is what it's been. I think the Barca team will do well, and they will grow with whether it's age or whatever. I think that they won't be too bad, and I still don't trust Real Madrid to come and win this title, despite Carlo Ancelotti saying that he's going to be in that Champions League final. I think Barca have it all to lose this season, and I'll be very surprised if Real Madrid come back and beat them this season. Yeah.
Yeah, separated by 1 point. Real is a game in hand, but I don't know about the non-experience thing, because if we look at the Euros, Lamine Yamal was one of the best players in the tournament.
I think
but
there's a big difference. I think
there
is the length of the season.
Fair enough, but if you looked at who's been playing poorly for Barca since the international break, this is always happens. But every time there's international break, Barca goes through these dips. Jules Koundé, and he even came out and said that the draw to Celta de Vigo was his fault. One of the most experienced players on the pitch. Iñaki Peña. I mean, compared to these guys, he's a grandfather. Rafinha's been performing. Lamine was obviously injured. I don't know if it necessarily is coming down to these guys. Gavi and Pedri did not play well against Las Palmas. And I know they're young, but they're one of the most experienced players on the pitch. So I don't know. I know what you're trying to say, Gary, but I don't know if it's necessarily these young guys. I think it's a bad spell. I think there's a lot of exhaustion. Because Koundé, to me, is one of the best right backs in football right now. But he looks... Just watch him play. He looks exhausted. It catches up to you. But I think they'll be okay. They need to win tonight. even though Guillem is coming in, he's talking about Kyle Larin when he shouldn't be. Barca need a statement win tonight. They need a statement win to wake up. Real Madrid are right behind them. And Alex, give me a score prediction for Barcelona Mallorca this evening.
It's a tough one. I've been quite impressed with Mallorca this season. You know, they're pushing for a Champions League spot. I know it's early days, but a win puts them in fourth. And, you know,
they're good at home, too.
I'm sure Guillem would be very happy if they were in fourth. It's sort of, you know, big new heights for a club like Mallorca, who not long ago were playing in the third division of Spanish football. So, you know, for a team like Mallorca playing at home at the Son Moix, I think they'll be up for it. But it's hard to go against Barcelona. I'm going to go 2-1 Barcelona.
Hello, Gary.
I'm going to go 3-1 Barcelona.
There it is. I'm also going to go 3-1 Barcelona. Rafinha. Did you guys see the goal, by the way, against Las Palmas, Rafinha? Yeah. There's no argument that this isn't the best Brazilian in the world right now. This guy is possessed. He's if he continues to do this could get really crazy for Neymar's legacy.
I mean, yeah, the free kick. Was it Rafinha on the free kick that forced the save out of Jasper Cillessen?
Yeah.
What a save that was.
No, first of all, he man of the match for Las Palmas.
Yeah,
he was brilliant. Oh, going against Barcelona. But no, Rafinha, unbelievable. I'm going to go 3-1 too, Gary. I think Rafinha's getting on the board. I also see Lewandowski coming back. And, of course, for Mallorca, gotta be Muriqui. Guillem will like that one. All right, but let's move along to rivals of Barca, Real Madrid, because Kylian Mbappe is back. He scored against, Bilbao. No?
Getafe.
Oh, you were at Bilbao. There we go.
They're playing
Bilbao tomorrow. Yeah. See, it's all, there's too much football, Gary. I can't remember. Getafe, 17th place, Getafe, Bellingham with a penalty. Mbappe looking like he's back. Do we actually have that video? Clinton Cod was at that game. Let's take a look at what the fans had to say about Kylian Mbappe.
We promised to play it yesterday.
Yeah. We're here.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Mbappe's performance today?
Oh man, he missed a couple shots at the end. I would say I'd give it a solid 7.
Start off as a 10, and then he had a few missed chances, so I'm gonna drop him down to a 9.
Today's a 9.
8, 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Jesus Christ!
I say 7.
7. Today maybe 6. Tomorrow maybe 7.
Mbappe today 7.
I would say 6. 7. An 8.
6.
Skill. 10.
I would say 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
For now, enjoy, and as I see you soon, stay glued to Sporty TV. As usual, Ebwe. Bah!
He still haunts us from the videos even when he's not in the studio. Alex, there were some shocking answers there regarding
9
Mbappe.
over 10? 9 over 10?
They were drunk. It was after the game. Remember that, Gary.
What were they watching? 9 over 10?
What do you guys give Mbappe a rating as of right now for that match? It was just based on that match, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one match. That's why.
I think I'm going to be generous. No, I mean, fair. I think, I'm not being generous, but being fair, I think it's right. I'm going to say 8.5.
Gary, what do you think for the match against Getafe? Scored a goal.
Scored a goal. Did he do much else?
Gave the penalty to Bellingham.
Did he do much else?
Yeah, that's why Alex gave him an 8.5, because he gave Bellingham a penalty. So knock that down, so 7.5.
At 7, yeah, I'm giving it a 7, a 7.5.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was floating too. Like, I think 8, you got to be a little bit more on it, but I think it's good for Mbappe to be playing back on the left. I mean, we saw against Liverpool, and that was his first game properly being on the left, and it didn't go over well, but it seemed like it worked out better. Could that also be because Rodrigo was back in the lineup? I think that was super important for Real Madrid. I think Rodrigo is one that keeps going under the radar, and he was crucial.
Yeah, I think also the thing about Mbappe, and we've talked about how, perhaps we want to see and we know we can see more from him. 10 goals this season, I think 8 in La Liga. That game against Getafe, and I have to put it out there, I thought Getafe were particularly bad in that game. They didn't really offer a lot, but I think when you look at how Mbappe played, he really did seem to make that left-hand side his own, and I think he looked like he felt a lot more comfortable, and he was getting into the right positions. Yes, he missed a few chances, but I think it's good to see him getting those opportunities. And when you look at perhaps games gone by where he's seemed a bit frustrated that he's perhaps not getting in those positions and getting the opportunities. So, I think a really positive performance from Real Madrid and from Kylian Mbappe to see, he's slowly but surely settling into the team, and I think as the weeks go on, he'll only get better and better.
Mm-hmm. Gary, I have to ask you, because Clinton always talks about this situation with Real Madrid. They're beating these teams comfortably like a Getafe, but we have to remind ourselves that they are 17th in La Liga. They beat a team like Leganés. They beat, Celta de Vigo, even though Celta is a difficult team to play, especially at their home. But then they come against the likes of Atletico, they draw. Milan, they lose by a margin. Barca by a margin. At Liverpool, 2-0, but they barely had a shot on target. The anomaly in this one would be the Dortmund match, where they came back in that Champions League game. But it seems like whenever they do go up against higher competition, they still struggle. They are playing Atalanta next week, Gary, with one Ademola Lookman.
One Ademola Lookman, who will be looking to use Real Madrid as a surefire bet to win the African Player of the Year award, without question. But there are so many motivations all around the pitch. Yeah.
No, 100%. I think this is going to be difficult for both sides. But do you see, with the likes of Mbappe kind of getting into a groove maybe here, starting off with this game, and then tomorrow, like Alex mentioned, they're taking on Bilbao. Do you see this pattern of Madrid shifting, maybe finally? Or is it still going to be kind of, you're not convinced, like you said at the beginning of the show?
I think there will still be a bit of ups and downs going into maybe early Jan, mid-Jan. I think they have a bit of balancing to do. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Especially going forward on that whole Kylian Rodrigo axis, I think they have a bit more balancing to do. He needs a few games to really get in there. And then we asked this 3 weeks ago when it was confirmed that, or 2 weeks ago when it was confirmed that Vinicius will not be around. Now that Kylian's got into his groove, now what are they going to do about it? Now that Kylian has got into his groove, what are they going to do about it? If they get into the groove and Vinicius comes, what are they going to do about it? So I think that the Liverpool game, we saw the signs. Again, he was better with, I've given it a 7.5. Alex has given it an 8.5. He's given it a 7.5. We saw from the Vox Pop there that people are giving him more than an average of 7, which is far better than most of them would have just a couple of weeks ago. I think that they are going to balance pretty soon, But then, after that, what happens? What happens when Vinicius comes?
Question to you guys about Vinicius Jr. He just won the La Liga Player of the Month for November. He played 2 matches and scored 3 goals. He scored a hat-trick against Osasuna. But he played 2 matches. Alexander Sorloth played 4 matches and scored 3 goals as well. Am I missing something? This to me, because I was kind of confused, because I was like, wait, Vinny won. And then I was like, what did he? So I went and looked at the stats, and I was like, no, he didn't. He had a hat-trick, brilliant, against Osasuna, but he played 2 games. And then I started looking at everyone, and I guess, okay, Barcelona, they've been, losing or drawing, even though Rafinha's been scoring more goals. Fine, okay, no result. Mallorca scores by committee, so they have same with Atleti, Atleti, Sorloth, or Julian Alvarez maybe, but Bilbao is more like that, Sociedad, same thing. Does it seem a bit odd that he won that?
Not
Is it
really.
a bad, because that to me means that La Liga had a bad month. If you're giving it to a player who played 2 games, he scored a hat-trick, but that's the best that we can do? I think Sorloth maybe deserved it.
I think perhaps maybe why Sorloth didn't get it is the fact that in a few of those games he wasn't starting. yes, he still scored the goals and, he's influencing these games. He's been fantastic for Atleti this season. He's been, when he comes on, he is the focal point of that attack. I think perhaps the fact that he wasn't starting from the beginning, he was getting 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 25 minutes, and it's still impressive to score 4 goals in a month or 3 goals in a month. I think when you compare that to a hat-trick, a hat-trick is always impressive, and I think when you look at Real Madrid's performance against Osasuna, it was complete. It was from start to finish, perfect is the wrong word, but really good. So I think the hat-trick, and I think the fewer games and the fact that Soloth wasn't starting in those games, I think that probably is the reason why they pipped it towards Vinicius.
Gary, anything to say on that?
No. Look.
Don't bite.
No.
Eric wrote here, Ancelotti is saying that Vinny is realizing how good he is through the middle, and he might become the number 9 when he returns. What do you guys think about that?
Like Luis Diaz at Liverpool?
Could be.
I don't think he can't not play. I think he can play.
I think like we spoke about at the beginning of the season, you said, Alex, actually, I remember that you have to play all of them, like Rodrigo, Vinny, and Vinicius. But I think if Mbappe starts getting into his groove, that's going to be dangerous on that left side. So what do you do with Vinny? You got to move him.
I do think as well, and Ancelotti said this, I think it was previous week before Getafe, that he's starting to realise Vinicius is starting to realise that through the middle he can be a real threat. And we knew how good he is on the ball, how good he is when it comes to taking on players, and his shot ability and his skills that he has. I think when you look at yes, his natural position may be on the left, but I do think he can really do a job in that middle position. And I think when you look at when he comes back, you have to play all 3 of them up top, and if it means playing Mbappe on the left and Vinicius through the middle, I'm all for it. I think, Rodrigo on the right, I think that could be quite a dangerous strike partnership. And, Bellingham's picking up performances. Tchouaméni is back to fitness, could start tomorrow. Valverde's back in the midfield. Asensio's playing well. Fran Garcia's playing really well when he does get the minutes. To be honest, I think Real Madrid are really on an upward curve at the moment. I think the Champions League will be the true teller of how this squad is going, and I think the injuries haven't helped, but slowly these players will start coming back and we'll start to see the Real Madrid that we know from last season.
I will be waiting. I'm not sure. Margande wrote here, say whatever you want about Real Madrid and Mbappe, we will be here. And then he also said, but Barcelona is not beating those teams. How about that? It seems like Barcelona and Real Madrid this season are the inverse of one another. Barcelona is going around beating crazy teams and then losing to lesser teams, let's say, with respect to, Sociedad. They haven't been what we thought they could be this season, and they beat Barcelona. But then Barcelona beat Real Madrid 4-0. They beat Bayern 4-1. You know what I mean, Gary? Like, it seems like they're playing like the exact opposite. Real Madrid's not performing against big clubs. Barca is, but can't perform against the smaller clubs. What's going on?
Look, I've always said, and I'll keep sounding like a broken record, fatigue is a big deal for all these clubs, and we can't take it out of the equation. Real Madrid's problems, I know some will not agree, also includes the acquisition of Kylian Mbappe, which was very needless, if we will be honest. It's destabilized the team a bit at a time when they needed consistency more than the tweaking. I feel like Mbappe has been a luxury signing. They've had a few issues defensively, so that can't be his fault as well. But, to the extent that they lost those games and drew those games and were that disjointed, I think it was a function of getting a player that they did not need, with money and funding that they could have used to strengthen areas that should have been priority. All right. Barcelona had a very good, coming together. They put the team together better than Real Madrid did in the offseason. We saw the results of it. We saw Hansi Flick, who has a grasp on the team, and then tiredness became a thing. So, yes, they become an inverse of themselves, but I think both teams will get into their mojo mid-Jan, and it will make La Liga perhaps a bit more exciting or as exciting as the Premier League this season. I'm waiting for a grandstand finish. I don't think that either of Real Madrid or Barcelona are going to peel away as Liverpool are doing now. No, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, let's see. We love a stressful season, don't we, Alex? Oh, God, Gary, you're going to age me with this. All right, let's move along. We got Bayern Leverkusen taking on Bayern Munich, guys. We spoke about Bayern last week. Actually, didn't you call for a draw in that game, but you said 2-2?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So I think, Gary, we got it wrong. We both said Bayern? Is that what we said? No,
Yes,
you
we
said
said
you were
Bayern.
leaning towards a Dortmund win, though, too.
But I think my final.
Oh, your
prediction
final.
was a draw.
Okay. Well, we got it wrong. Dortmund were
Yeah.
winning for so long, and then Jamal Musiala came out of there and 1-1. And now we have Bayern taking on Leverkusen, who are arguably a bit more of a competitor this season.
Than Dortmund, yeah.
Club, midweek cup football always kind of elevates the weekend matches as well, because there's usually some rotations. There's focusing on, next matches. And how do you line up for this one if you're Vincent Kompany and Bayern Munich, especially knowing that Harry Kane picked up a bit of an injury against Dortmund?
Apart from Harry Kane, who I would put just for cautionary reasons, I'll field a full strength team. I mean, Bayern are in a place where they need consistency. They are not an assured item yet. They are not set. They are not set. And so I think that they shouldn't take chances. They should be behaving like Jose Mourinho back when he was at Chelsea when he came the first time. Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, Sporty Cup, everything he's playing his first team. Any competition. Like he's going gung-ho with his best team all the time because they can. Obviously, there weren't as many games as they are now, but I think Bayern are in a position where he should field his best team at the moment to put fear, get the fluency going, get the consistency going as well.
Do you agree?
To be honest, I'm always in favour of, unless it's against really lesser opposition, I'm always in favour of playing your strongest lineup. And I think, with the amount of football they're playing these days, I think, that is the other argument. It could be good to rotate some of them and save them for the more important competitions. The DFB Pokal is still important, but, I'm sure Bayern would rather win the Bundesliga and be in contention for the Champions League come the end of the season than win the DFB Pokal. Having said that, I agree completely with what Gary said in terms of, they're still yet to reach, fifth and sixth gear. I think they're still in second and third. They're slowly getting there. I do think that they'll, be without Harry Kane tonight. I do think they'll be missing something, that target man. We saw against Dortmund. I really thought they were missing that focal point of their attack. I don't think they had enough height in that attack. Jamal Musiala got the header in the end, but that was only because there was a Dortmund player down and he was free in the box. So I think when you look at Thomas Muller leading the line, I think he's reaching his twilight stage of his career. I don't think he's. It feels really harsh to say I don't think he's good enough to lead the line, but I don't think he's in the stage of his career where he can lead the line and score goals week in, week out for you. Yes, he's still a fantastic player, but I think with Harry Kane up front, they just have that extra bit of a weapon. And defensively, still things to work on. Upamecano has his moments where on the ball you feel very nervous watching him sometimes, but I do still think there's things to improve on for Bayern. So a good opportunity against strong opposition to get some momentum going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, personally, I would love to see a Leverkusen win here just to cause a bit of chaos for Bayern, because they are top of the Bundesliga. They haven't lost in the Bundesliga yet. 2 losses in the Champions League, but nothing in the Bundesliga. So I think this could just stir up a little conflict for the young Vincent Kompany and see what Bayern can do. Regarding Thomas Muller, that miss in the Dortmund match was like, when those ones, when you're missing the sitter in front of the open net, that's what I think. That's when you know.
I think both sides, to be honest, Dortmund had some as well. It was an entertaining game. It was tense. It was end to end. But if you're wanting to be there at the end of the season, those are the chances that you take. You look at some of the errors that perhaps Neuer committed last season in the Champions League, for example. Those are the big moments where you look back on and you think, had he saved that or had he scored that? Like we're talking about the Muller goal held a chance for Thomas Muller. I think yeah, it's where you need to be at your best. And if you can't, yes, people make mistakes. Yes, people miss chances like that once in a blue moon. But chances like that, you can't be missing.
No, not at all. All right. Well, this just in, actually. It's Clinton Cod. Yes, all the way from Barajas.
Hey, what's up? Ebwe, boo! What's up, Sarah? What's up, Gary? What's up,
Clinton, where are
Alex?
you
What's
going?
going on, man? Where am I going? I'm tired of Spain, man. I'm going back to where I come from. I love the weather in England, so I'm going to enjoy something back
Said
in England.
no one
man.
ever. Said no one ever. Clinton, we're just talking about Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen. That game's coming up tonight. Give me a score prediction for this one and why, and maybe who's going to score.
Well, first of all, my boy Victor Boniface is going to be on the pitch. I hope so. I've not looked at the lineup just yet, but 100% he always comes through. I'm going to drop a message to him just before the game to tell him that, yo, listen, you have something at stake. Your younger sister has been kidnapped. Oh, yes, that's me coming back with my crazy examples
Talking
again,
about
right
kidnapping
from
at
the
an
airport.
Are you?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way Nigeria will give you the goal. So, yes, I'm banking on Victor Boniface. Now, my scoreline prediction for Bayern versus Leverkusen, I think it's going to be a 2-2 and it's going to be a draw.
And
Okay, a draw.
who's winning that one then, on penalties or extra time?
On penalties, I just think that, I don't know, for some reason I see a Bayer Leverkusen guy missing a penalty, and I think it's probably going to be the Bayern Munich way.
Okay. Gary? Gary, do you want to give us our score prediction?
Clinton says 2-2. I'm going 2-1.
For who?
2-1 to who?
Bayer Leverkusen.
Woo!
Wow.
Controversy.
Yes. Gary, please, just to let you know, I'm supporting you from another part of my heart. Obviously, I gave my own prediction, but yes, I'm with you on that one too, man. If you win, and that's what happens, we shared it. We came together to make that one happen.
Alex?
Oh, it's a tough one. I'm going to have to go with the. Oh, this is tough. Penalties. I'm going to go 0-0 and Bayern Munich to win on penalties.
0-0.
Sorry.
Ooh, well, I don't want penalties. You know what? Penalties, even if it's not your team,
they're stressful.
No, look, I swear it's not good for my heart health. So, let's not have those. Let's not have penalties. Let's go. Oh, I really want Leverkusen to win this one. I'm going to back them too, boys. Let's go. Let's go for it. Come on, Leverkusen. Maybe a cheeky Frimpong goal. I like it. Let's go 2-1 Leverkusen.
Wow. Okay, you've gone with Gary now. Yeah, you've come with us.
Yeah, well, I love watching them play. I love watching them play, and like I said, it'll stir up Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga because they're miles ahead right now. They're coasting. Let's cause some problems. Clinton, I don't want peace. I want problems.
I love that one, Sarah. You're learning really fast. I love it.
Clinton, before we let you go, because I know you got a flight to catch, Mr. I'm so busy, we're going to jump into talking about Manchester United and Arsenal now. Tell me what you think is going to happen in that game really quickly before we let you go.
Now, fact is, we obviously know what Ruben Amorim has been doing with Manchester United. Now, we see how strong the team has suddenly become just under his watch. I mean, they didn't become suddenly very good. Van Nistelrooy started his bit, and I think Amorim is not carried on the legacy. I don't think Arsenal would make anything different. Manchester United are going to play the game. Ruben Amorim currently knows the players that are currently impressing him. So far, so good. I think it's just one or two persons that's not really played really well under Amorim, but everyone seems to be on track. Now, what do I reckon will be happening? Manchester United, I see us winning, obviously. There's no way I'm going to say anything opposite. Scoreline, I think, is going to be a narrow win, probably like a 2-1. It's going to be a very tough game. It's going to, any game that has Manchester United involved is never a very dull game at all. It's going to be a battle on that ground. But yeah, I give it to Manchester United. The boys are going to come through. Marcus Rashford, I see a goal for him. I see Amad Diallo doing some crazy stuff, getting his ball into the 18-yard box and, finding these goals. Obviously, I've told you guys so many times, he's the best player in Manchester United as we speak. So it's a game I'm looking forward to. I want to see Bukayo Saka against, Diallo. Let's see, who. I know both are my boys, obviously, but the team I support, Amad Diallo is going to be showing them what Shege is. If you're Nigerian, Arsenal will see Shege. Gary, you will see what? Shege.
Shege.
All right, Gary, before I get your response to that, what Clinton said, Clinton, can you tell us where you're going and what you're doing? The people want to hear it.
Are you at an airport or something? Are you at an airport or something?
Honestly, I'm not the type of. I'm from Nigeria. We are told not to ever give our secret away unless.
I've been told by the producer you can tell us. Ignore your Nigerian roots.
No. But you see, Nigerian village people, they have strong. Ask Gary, he knows what they do in Africa. So, in as much as they've given me the opportunity to say where I'm going to, I still don't want. It's my life. It's my life. I love my life. I love my life.
So should we just tell them where you're going?
No. See. If you guys reveal my secret, I'm going to be very angry with you. You don't. I'll sue you to court. You will hear from my lawyer.
Give us a clue or just something, Clinton.
Okay. Let me say this. All right, something. So our viewers, what I'm about to do is we're about to break the sports news section of entertainment, okay? That's all I want to say to you. Now, it involves me being in an airport where obviously you can see, and it also involves me going on a plane with a few camera equipment. I'm going to stop it there. Where am I going to? You will find out. Ebwe,
All right, Clinton, have a safe flight.
Thank you very much, man. Catch you out soon.
Just a reminder that Victor Boniface is injured, guys, so he will not be playing tonight against Bayern Munich. But Gary, talk to me a little bit about Arsenal taking on Manchester United. I love that Bukayo Saka and Diallo head-to-head as well.
Where do I begin? I'm just... Amarim is a problem. He's a good problem because I think that tactically he's the man who can match Mikel Arteta for all our consistency, for all our fluency, and Odegaard back and all that. I think Amarim is tactically sound enough to be able to fashion something out in this game and give us something to think about. But at the end of the day, I think that Arsenal should win. This is the Arsenal part of me speaking, of course, and it's going to be narrow. I'm going to be surprised if either team wins convincingly, like a 3-1, like a 4-1.
Someone wrote 5-0 here in the YouTube comments. Street Fighter wrote Arsenal 5-0.
5-0 to who?
Arsenal.
Wow, that would be something.
Clinton wouldn't be able to show up the next day. There's not a hope for him.
Go you.
Alex, what are you seeing in this one? A close affair as well?
Yeah, I do think it's early days for Ruben Amorim. I was impressed with his side's performance, United's performance against Everton, but it was against Everton. Everton were awful, and I think we have to take that into account. Arsenal seem to be picking up a good run of form, good win against West Ham. It wasn't perfect, but they got the job done. They scored a lot of goals. So I'm going to go with 2-2.
2-2. That would be exciting. I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I'm.
No, I don't hate that either.
Garrett, you guys need to pick up your wins here. You're tied with Chelsea right now for points. Listen.
Better watch your back.
Oh no.
Soon you'll be in third, Gary. Soon you'll be in third.
Let's see. Chelsea is also in action.
Playing Southampton tomorrow night, which
super important.
A little bit more of an easier game for Chelsea, but still difficult. I think when you
Southampton gave Liverpool a run.
Well, when you look at every game in the Premier League, they're all difficult, and anyone can beat anyone. Enzo Maresca will know that. He keeps insisting that Chelsea aren't in the title race. I agree with him. I don't think they're good enough, but.
Mind games, Alex. Mind game. We're not. We are not in the title race.
They might be in the London race with Arsenal. So who knows?
I think what Chelsea
They're not in a what race. They're not in a what race.
No, I think what Chelsea are doing are really smart, though, because no one expected them to do this well. And now they're sneaking under the radar into the, top 4. Everyone's watching City crumble. Liverpool's flying. Everyone has an eye on Arsenal because they all have had for the last couple seasons, and the bottling effect. Manchester United is always a polarizing team. Meanwhile, Chelsea are just like, nobody look at us. Nobody look. We're just going to get in there and listen. I mean, they're doing what they need to do, and it's brilliant from them.
Yeah.
That's what Liverpool wanted to do for the whole season until they went top of the Premier League. And then, I mean, you can't hide. They were creeping up on everybody. Liverpool were just creeping up on everybody. By the time we all realized they were first, and they were still like, don't look at us. I'm like, hell no. You are first. We have to look at you.
I mean, it could happen. Let me just pull up this table really quickly here. So Chelsea right now are in 3rd with 25. Arsenal are in 2nd with 25. So depending on even midweek action here, that could be switched. Like Chelsea could be 2nd in the Premier League by tomorrow evening.
If Chelsea win the league, I will not shave my moustache over the whole summer and come back with a massive goatee, a massive sort of old-style moustache. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't know about them winning, but top 4, I can definitely see it.
Top 4, I think, is a possibility.
And thank God I'm the only one who made that in my prediction. I don't know how. I had a feeling. There's too many players for them to pick from. I thought, maybe they could just have a good rotation. All right. Well, that is it for us today. There is a lot of football going on this evening even. And like I said, Alex and I will be joining you guys post, pre, halftime. So we have right now Freiburg taking on Armenia on Sporty TV coming up right after this. Alex and I will jump on at halftime, break that down. We'll then do post-match of that game and preview of Bayern Munich and Bayern Leverkusen, and then jump back on for halftime of that one. Meanwhile, Leicester's in action in the Premier League. Barcelona is playing Mallorca. We'll have one eye here, we'll have one eye there. We'll talk about all of it. And tomorrow, Gary will dive into more of Manchester United and Arsenal, more DFB Pokal, more La Liga. Midweek action is always great. Gary, I hope you have a brilliant birthday, and thank you so much for joining us on your special day.
Absolutely.
Well, Clinton's not here, so you got to do it for us. Guys, enjoy the football, and we'll be back momentarily for halftime.
Edward, boom.